Welcome to this edition of The Bigger Game with From Surviving to Thriving. With our guest today is Rufus Cressend, talking about Built Bayou. Nice play on words, Rufus.
You like that?
B-U-I-L-T, built, and Bayou as in Louisiana, the bayous of Louisiana. You were born and bred there, raised, all that?
Born and raised and bred, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, lifer from Louisiana.
Yeah. I'm. The Bayou. It's a big area, but it's not unusual to see an alligator on every drive home from work these days. Because it's right along the swamp going to my house. So, yeah, definitely the Bayou.
Excellent. I really was intrigued by this journey. You're a person that helps individuals navigate business, wealth management, all of that, right? I mean, that's your thing for so many years. And we just reconnected recently again, and you were talking about Built Bayou, and I'm going to let you kind of speak that and kind of describe that a little bit for us today, and kind of.
It's funny. This is the first podcast I've been on.
That journey, the bigger game on that is.
First podcast I've been on that I'm actually talking about Built Bayou. Most of the time we're talking about waterfront wealth management, which is what my actual job is for the last 30 years. I think we were talking about just kind of a passion project. So it's something that me and a couple of my friends, we kind of just came. It was one of those things where you're out drinking with the buddies and you say, hey, let's start a business, right? But this was a little bit more of, we were actually at a conference at the International Builders Show, which is short. It's the IBS show, which is a very unfortunate name, but they call it the IBS show, but which can mean something completely different. But no, this one actually means the International Builders Show. And we just enjoy going to those types of home shows. And this one was in Vegas. This is the largest one. And we're like, well, if we're going to keep doing this, we should probably build a company around it, and with all the things that we're kind of taking these ideas and applying it to. And we all enjoy discovering the new products and applying those products into different builds that we do, whether it be just home renovations. I just happened at the time to be in the middle of a 5,000 square foot build in the back of my house, which in and of itself was pretty epic. So I had the source material. I said, well, yeah, we can not only build a kind of a YouTube channel, it'd be fun to do. And I'm sure the neighbors are wondering what the hell I'm building in the back of my house, so they can follow along if they want to follow. And it just kind of started taking a life of its own, which has been a lot of fun. And I'm happy to share whatever you want to know about it.
So share some of these nuggets, right? I mean, this whole world seems to be full of people who don't work and do, influencers or YouTube people or whatever, right? I mean, all these buzzwords that go around that. This isn't really like that. This is something a little different, right?
Well, I talked about it and described what we were doing to a lot of people and avoided saying the word. And finally, I just have to make peace with it. But essentially, I'm an influencer, which is so funny to me because I think of influencer as like kid playing a video game and talking through the video game. And it's like I'm described it to somebody. It's like, so they're like you're an influencer. I'm like, no, nothing like that. And I'll start describing it more. I'm like, yeah, you're an influencer. I'm like, oh shit, I think I'm an influencer. So, but that's what it really was, is us kind of going and interviewing a lot of the different product companies. I'm like, this is really interesting. Let's kind of share that with the audience. And and the fact that now the channel's still very young. I mean, the company's less than 6 months old, but it takes time. You can't, you just kind of grow it one follower at a time. But it's getting a lot of buzz from a lot of sponsors, and I tell you what, every other day it's like I get home and it's like Christmas morning. I got products being sent to me because they want to be on our channel, which is like really, really fun. It's like, could I afford to buy their tools? Sure. Would I rather them send it for free? Hell yeah. So free stuff is fun. So anyway, but that's been kind of a cool part of it too. But no, it just kind of grew into a business to where it's like, well, no, now we can actually start having the affiliate marketing We can eventually, when we have enough sponsors and enough followers, we can have paid sponsorships. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of potential. I mean, even the YouTube will start sending us a check if they have once we get above a certain amount of followers and a certain amount of hours of people viewing our content. But it's kind of a niche market of mostly people my age that have some discretionary income to do some fun projects that they want, not necessarily the projects that they need. And that's exactly what this project behind my house is did I need a 1,700 square foot garage in addition to the garage that I have on my house? No. Did I want one? Yep. Do I need an outdoor kitchen? No. Did I want one? Sure do. So all these little things that we're building is just, like I said, just lifestyle things that are fun and it's things I enjoy building.
So what's the key to all this?
I don't know. I think the key has always been very, like, one rule is just like, if it's not fun, we're not doing it. If it starts to turn into work that we dread coming in to do, then we're shutting it down. We don't want to do this unless it's fun. And we don't mind work. I mean, hard work, but not this kind of work that's like, this is giving me headaches, or I'm stressing, or I got to meet a deadline. It's like, no, this is on our terms. But it's like, it's me and my friends. So, how do you keep that kind of a business relationship, without messing up the integrity of that friendship? Is you keep it fun. And I think that's, we all have a little bit different vision, but this is my project. So I guess I'm in calling the shots on this one. I think my buddy's going to be doing a barn dominium soon, so he'll be calling the shots on that one because it's his project. My other partner is going to be doing probably a major bathroom renovation, so that'll be his. So it's going to be his vision. But we all contribute. We all discover a lot of the things that are going into these things. And like I said, it's fun, and we just have to add the extra element of video documentation. And then I have my podcast for my business, which is, constructive interference. And so I just have my editor do those videos, but also the Build Bayou videos. So it's starting to get burdensome. So I'll probably have to get a full-time person eventually to start doing all the videos and keeping up with the YouTube stuff if we're going to start cranking out more and more videos.
So tell, a lot of people get tied up. So is also Waterfront, your wealth management company, is that also fun? Is that one of the rules you bring to that company as well? Is this a new thing you've come up with as far as making it fun?
Well, it's not so much that. I mean, it's like you start to kind of count, on your hands and your toes, your fingers and toes, how many summer vacations you have left. And you start, looking back and getting the wisdom from people that are older than you. And you start to reflect and say, what is this all about? What am I doing here? Am I, you just getting yourself out of the rat race. And it's like I said, it's I'm not trying to diminish it by saying everything has to be fun, but I think finding joy in things, and I can find joy in hard work. I can find joy in meaningful work. I love what I do as a financial planner with Waterfront. I love the podcast that I'm doing with Waterfront with the constructive interference, but that was the same thing too. It's like, I don't need this in my life. And it was Armando that kept kind of hounding me. He's the same one that set you up with your podcast, but he started hounding me with, Rufus, you'd be great on podcasts. It's going to be a great way for you to bring on new clients. I'm like, I don't really necessarily want new clients. I mean, I want new clients for my company, but I don't want new clients, but that's all right, Armando. We'll do this podcast. But if I have to study, I have to research, I just want to show up and be me. And I think that's really following the theme with whether it be Built Bayou or with constructive interference, the two different, web things that I'm doing and video things that I'm doing. It's if it starts to create kind of things that I'm looking to avoid, or things that I start to dread, or things it doesn't energize me, or these things, it starts to exhaust me on some level, I'll either redirect it or I'll just stop doing it. But that was the thing. I just wanted to lean into the things that only I can do, even in my business, but even with this new business. And with the constructive interference podcast, I know I'm jumping around a lot. That was my thing, is that what's something that I can't outsource in my career? I can outsource people to do financial planning. I can outsource the stock research. I can outsource a lot of the marketing. I can outsource a lot of the things that we do. I just can't outsource being me with 30 years of experience. So how do I enhance that? How do I let other people do the things that I don't necessarily have to do, and only focus on the things that I can only do? And that was say, okay, well, I can't have someone else show up with 30 years of experience and wisdom to go do a podcast. I guess I'm going to have to do that. That's something only I can do. So I'm trying to lead the company by being out front a lot more instead of just being behind the scenes.
So that's a phenomenal approach, right? I mean, doing things that only you can do. So it becomes becomes a very focused approach, and yet a very deep and rich experience at the same time, right? So I think that's a lot of that fun and joy that you talk about, right? People have different words for it, different buzzwords for it these days, but that kind of grabs that whole piece. So when you make the transition, so many people have, they get caught up in their business being their identity, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, the business is just a vehicle to enjoy life, or to whatever, everything else in life. It's a money, it's a source of income, right? Yeah. So many people, it becomes an identity for them. And then when they look to like recreate themselves in the next version of themselves or whatever, it is difficult to let go, because this is their identity, right? Right. So tell us a little about that, because I mean, that seems to be a part of that conversation you're just having about having, the fun and joy in life, right? And being authentically you wherever you go. Right. Maybe speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, now just to follow up, I'd say we're all looking for a competitive advantage in our businesses to try to do better than our competition. We want to win the business, so we need some kind of an advantage. We're always seeking that. I have this mindset that says, don't go get more of something until you utilize what you have. And I think the biggest competitive advantage that I have, I think the biggest competitive advantage that you have is the experience that you have being you, the experience I have being me. No one has a more experience being me than me. So to lean into that and say, okay, how can I be the best version of me and get better at being me? That's where I'm seeking to find that competitive advantage for the most part. Then there's other ways, whether it be AI or technology or hiring better people. These are all competitive advantages as well, but not at the expense of the biggest competitive advantage, which I think is me. Now, to answer your other question, you're right. And I deal with this a lot with being a financial planner, is the readiness level for people to be able to go to that next chapter. Now, financially, yes, they're never going to outlive their money. They've done very well. We've done very well at helping them accumulate and save. And we're going to basically put them on a spending plan that basically says you're going to have to develop some really bad habits if you're going to run out of money. So I think you're going to be fine. That's all good. But psychologically, are they ready to reinvent themselves? Are they ready to give up that identity? And if you think about it, a lot of these successful people, they're important people at work. They're very good at what they do. They're a person of authority. People come to them for advice. A big part of their time of their life is spent with the people that they work with. So a big part of their social life is at work. So to just say, okay, I've met this arbitrary age, and society says that at this 65 age, I'm supposed to retire, just doesn't jive well with everybody. So I think having something with clarity that you can retire to is very, very important in the process of planning for retirement. Because, and think about it this way, here's another aspect. Let's say your spouse is a stay-at-home spouse and you work and there's a single income family. All right, well, let's say, especially, I'll just speak for myself. My home is my wife's domain. She manages the house. Okay. She's used to me being gone 8 hours a day. All of a sudden, I'm going to be chasing her around the house, whatever, full time. So she has to now, she could be with me at night, in the morning, during the day, at lunch. How do we know we're not going to get sick of each other? How do we know where those boundaries are? So, you have to really prepare not only the person that's retiring, but the person that's at home in some cases, saying that oh my goodness, this is, go back to work. You're driving me nuts, or whatever. And you hear about that kind of stuff, and it's very true. Sometimes it could be even going into some form of depression, of saying, okay, I don't really know who I am if I'm not serving the people that I once served. If I no longer have any kind of meaningful purpose. So we start to age, we start to deteriorate, we start to, I'll say it another way. I have clients that are farmers in Illinois, and their bodies are just beaten to hell. And one of my clients, he's actually younger than me, but he does not look younger than me. Okay, I mean, he's just up and down these tractors, and it's just hard manual work. It's a hard life. Farmers, they live poor, but they die rich. So that's kind of their thing. But he still farms with his father. His father's like in his 70s or 80s. And I'm like, why doesn't your father stop? You can handle his farm. You can handle everything. He says, my dad's afraid if he stops, we won't be able to start again. And it's that mindset that it's like, once we stop doing what we're meant to do, even though it may hurt, our bodies may be exhausted, it's far easier to keep going with that pain than to stop and try to redo it. It's like skipping the gym for 3 months and then going back. I'm like, oh my God, why am I so sore? I'm like, yeah, because you stopped doing it. So there's a lot of things that have to happen, but I personally am looking at creating various glide paths to that second career, if you will, something that I can do that's enjoyable. If I make money at it, great. If I don't, that's okay too. I don't want to lose money at it, but making money is fun too. So I'm definitely shooting to. Money's always been kind of a scorecard for me. If people are buying, then I'm doing something right. If they're not buying, I'm not doing something right. So if they buy more, I'm doing something really right. So,
right.
So I threw a lot at you there. You can pick apart any of those parts that you want, but that's the main thing I would say is that the reinvention of yourself in retirement is something that don't dismiss it. It's very important. Especially if you retire soon or retire earlier, you're thinking you're going to have all this time to play golf, go fishing, go on vacation. I'm like, I got news for you. All your friends are still at work. Okay. So who are you going to hang out with? You got to make all brand new friends. Are you prepared to do that? Some people are not comfortable with making new friends. They're like, hey, this guy's been my friend for 30, 40 years. I don't want to go start a new friendship. That's an awful lot of work. I'm okay with it, but a lot of people aren't. So something to consider.
Yeah. It's interesting because the separation you show there, right? The attachment to the business or my work as my identity versus where you started the conversation from fun and joy, like being my, I guess, for lack of a better word, identity, right? So if I focus on fun and joy and have that ride throughout my life, right, then I am actually just focused on that. So now, I'm doing X today, that brings me fun and joy. And I'm doing like I'm in my business and I'm running a particular function and it's bringing me fun and joy right now.
Right.
And I don't necessarily need to retire or exit the business. I could take on a different role because now suddenly, it's a different day. I have a different, a different drive today or a different thing going forward. Like, life shifts over time, right? My perspective shifts over time. So I find something else fun, enjoy my own business, right? You moved from the nuts and bolts of your company to leading the charge. Right. Because you looked at what was fun and joy for you and what was uniquely Rufus, and that was getting out in front and leading the charge and being the face guy and the podcast and all that other stuff, that 30 years of experience you talked about, right? All those things, right? And along that journey, you're hanging out with some buddies and you're like, wouldn't it be fun to hang out with these guys and do something? Fun and joy then became hanging out with them and creating this channel. And I one of the things that I was struck by what you said was, so many of these, and I guess for this project, you're a chief influencer, right? So
I'm a micro. I had to get that in there, right? Not the cheap one, yeah, the micro influencer. I
had to get in there. So you're the chief influencer, right? And so you step into this role, and so many people like plan this out. I need so many hits. I need to do this. I have this algorithm, all this science, math, process, all this stuff, and it's all important stuff, right? However, just being your element of fun and joy, right? Those pieces have somehow naturally just appeared. It's It's like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom when he's walking across at the end, right? And he's taking a step through the fog, and like the steps appear in front of him. No step there, then now there's a step. Mm-hmm. It's like that when I'm in my natural element, fun and joy in this case, right? Those steps just naturally appear. I don't need to think about the process. The process just, I mean, there needs to be one, and it just appears. Right? It makes it like the flow. People will call it the flow. People call it all kinds of things, right? So I think the key to this conversation, this is what I took from what you said. One of the nuggets was retire, recreate. The whole point is it's not the physicality of what I'm doing. It is actually the intangible stuff of who I am authentically, right? I'm fun and joy, right? So what is that across the spectrum today, tomorrow, the next moment, and living from there? That's what I took away from what you said.
No, I mean, it's like you got to look at it and honestly say, who am I if I'm not Rufus, the financial planner, if I'm not Dan, the lawyer, or Steve, the doctor? You know, what I do is part of my identity. That's what people know me as. Am I okay if I was no longer that identity? And if not, then what am I going to do about it? So I'm very okay with not being Rufus, the financial planner. I'm even in retirement, I'm going to be Rufus, the financial planner, because I'm not giving up all of my company. I'll still be involved in the company. And we're talking like a 10-year glide path. So I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, but I like establishing the groundwork. But I've always been a very curious person. And if you think about financial planner, you know, finance, numbers, and all this, and then I'm going a completely different direction with tools and garage builds and cars and stuff like that. I'm like, these are completely different professions, don't have any overlap whatsoever. But it's very fun for me to learn about, okay, why did this video not do well? This video is doing well, trying to figure out that YouTube algorithm and like, you know, and getting over the imposter syndrome of being an influencer. It's just still, the words like struggle to come out of my mouth. It's so stupid. I know, right? Like, who the hell am I influencing? But no, my idea is, look, if anybody, look, we've just really laid the groundwork. Most of our videos are conference videos of us going and interviewing the different product companies and just discovering the stuff, because I'm a very curious person, and making the little shorts. We're actually getting ready to really start going all in on the long form videos, which takes a lot more work, but that's where you're going to start seeing the finished products of what we've built. And I mean, we're talking about like an indoor car wash inside of my garage, a 24-foot span of cabinetry across the back wall that has a library ladder that gets to everything up high. I have a hidden door that leads to a speakeasy and a whiskey cigar lounge. Okay. I got, you know, a guest suite that has what they call these Murphy doors, which is a hidden door that leads to the attic that goes downstairs into the garage. I mean, all these are just like cool shit that I've always wanted to do. And it's fun. So like I said, these videos, whether they go viral or not, I think there's a target market of people. But the idea is to be able to inspire people with things that they've never seen done before and let them see it for the first time through us. That way they feel inspired to go do it themselves. Because, I mean, like I said, it's hard to put everything that we're doing in a short period of time. But one of those things that once they see it, they're like, oh, cool. I've never seen somebody do it that way. That's really neat. I'm going to try that in my home. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. And the common thread is fun and joy.
Yeah.
Seems to be. Right. Yeah.
Well, discovering something, trying it out, see if it works, and then inspiring others to do it. That's fun for me. Sure. Sharing that. 30
years of curiosity coming to a head.
Yeah. Well, I don't see me ever stop being curious. I mean, I'll have a really long conversation with you offline if that somehow I lose that spark of curiosity, because that's a big part of who I am. I mean, that's part of being a visionary in general. I think is that this unfillable hole of never being satisfied, which is, I've completely made peace with that. And I was sharing this with the other day with someone. I says, look, I'm never going to be satisfied, but I'm always going to be grateful. And I says, and I think that's where the tragedy is, to be ungrateful and never satisfied. That's the tragedy. But to not be satisfied and to be able to always want more and to be grateful for what you have. I think that's the right combination. At least it is for me. So anyway.
Yeah, that's the ultimate blessing, right?
Yeah.
It's great to see that trajectory that you've been on and to get to that place. I think that's a huge thing. Is there anything else you want to share? Any nuggets about anybody? Anything else you want to really talk about that we didn't really get to that you'd want to leave somebody with as they're making this, as they're considering their own path. I mean, even people just starting off, right? I mean, do I get a job? Do I start a business?
Right.
To people who are in mid-career, who are maybe 10 years out like you are, or maybe at the end of this thing, at the end of this cycle, and like what's next. Is there any nuggets you want to leave with us about that? Any lessons learned? Anything that?
I don't think. The best time to start planning for these things was yesterday. The second best time is today. So it takes time. I work a lot with business owners that are looking to grow the enterprise value of their company, and they want financial advice on how to better invest in their companies to grow their companies to a certain value to where they can have a very successful exit. Well, and part of what I do with them is not only make the companies more attractive for a buyer, but so we call that the attractiveness level, but there's also the readiness level. And the readiness level is how ready are you to sell? Okay. I mean, I want to say the numbers are staggering, like 75% of people who sell their businesses regret it within 12 months. And it's not that it wasn't enough money. It's just they weren't ready to step away from something that they built. So I think it's smart to do what I'm doing is to say, okay, I'm just going to lay the groundwork and do this little side project here to have something that I'm looking forward to doing, not just for a year or 2 years or 3 years, because we can say, hey, we're going to retire and I'm going to just go on a bunch of vacations. I'm like, okay, what are you going to do in year 2 and 3? You're going to go fishing a lot, you're going to play golf a lot. Okay, it's going to get old. You got to find something more than just a hobby. I'm not saying everybody should start a career, but you just need to really think through that of what that next act is going to be, and make sure that your readiness level is there. For some people, I think the goal is not retirement. It's having a work optional lifestyle. So there's two different things, financial independence and there's retirement. Financial independence says that work is optional, retirement's affordable. So in my opinion, if you're not ready, keep working. Even if you can't afford to retire, try to start even working part-time or semi-retired for a while to ease into it. That way you're not cutting ties with your employer or your business or whatever the case might be, to where if you try this part-time work and then you just can't reinvent yourself successfully, you can go back to work full-time. There's nothing wrong. If you find joy in what you do in your career, then do it to the day you die. There's no, you get, this is your life. You get to set your own rules on what you want, not what someone else wants for you. So absolutely, some clients, whether they can afford to retire or not, I would be very concerned if they stopped working, because they've tied so much of who they are and what they do, but they also really love what they do. So why are you going to give that up? So just, these are conversations you should be having with your planner. Honestly, I mean, sure, you like to say, how much money did we make? What's the market going to do next week? And all these other things. Those are important conversations as well. But I think those real conversations of, gosh, nobody's really asked me or talked to me about these things. Nobody really, we've always talked about numbers. We never really talked about, what's the things that I really want, for no other reason than I just want them. So that's what I would leave your audience with is that, begin with the end in mind, start planning for these things, start imagining these things. If you had all the time, the money to do whatever you want, whenever you want, for as long as you want, with whoever you want, what would you do? And if the vision isn't clear, well, that's okay too. I mean, the discovery is a big part of it, but having a trial run is not a bad idea either. It's just you just want to be ready. So
taking the half steps and just seeing what appears after that, right?
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, right? One step at a time. See where it goes.
Sure.
Yeah, I love that. Just the wonder of all of it, right? As long as I'm in my flow, my authentic self, and having in your case having fun and joy, right? It all works out. So tell us how we can get to this channel and partake in some of these videos and do all that. Tell us how to do any of that. That'd be great.
All right. So Built by You, of course, is a play on words, which is well, we spelled it weird because we're whatever, because we do whatever we want. It's our company. So Built is BILT. We also bought the domain of BUILT, but BILT, and then Bayou is BAYOU. So the play on words, of course, it's kind of like do it yourself, built by you, build it by you. So builtbyyou.com will get you to kind of who we are as the website, and they have links to the YouTube channel. If I could only have one call to action, I would say go to my YouTube page, go look up BILTBAYOU, the channel, and subscribe. You can like just for now, if you have to. You can unsubscribe 6 months from now, but subscribe, see what we're doing for the next 6 months. Even if you're not into home building or renovations, some of the ideas are just badass. They're just badass. So it's like certain things that there's certain luxuries and little guilty pleasure things that they're just cool, just nice to have. So I think there's something there for everybody.
That is fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. I'm sure a lot of us will get that Murphy door sounds very interesting. Have to start with that. Appreciate your time today, Rufus. As always, thanks for being here.
Okay.
And I look forward to watching this mushroom and then explode after that. It'll be fantastic.
Well, thanks. Looking forward to building it. Take care.